You're listening to God Can I Hold a Dollar, the podcast brought to you from Reset Budgeting and Financial Coaching with Janine Victor McDade, owner and principal consultant. The podcast that bridges real world conversations, no shame, no shade, and the word of Christ all in one.
Hey, resetters. I hope that you all have been well. I hope you've been enjoying the summer and the summer months. Uh, School is right around the corner for those of us who are parents and may have children or teens or what have you that are going to be headed on back to school in August. The summer months have been a little weird. It's definitely been pretty cold for the last couple of days, I would say, here in the Bay Area. And it even rained today. So that is an anomaly I have not seen. I don't think I've seen that before. So times are a little weird right now. And I have to be honest to say, I feel it even just in the flow of things. If I can be extremely transparent, I am sitting here at my desk and it's evening time and I have just papers galore on my desk. One, because there's a lot of things that are in flux. So I left you all a message. I believe I put it on Instagram. I'm not sure. Letting you all know that I wasn't going to rush bringing the website back up. Of course, there's ways to reach out to me if you want to take advantage of my services and what have you. But a lot of things have been going on, but exciting things, but man, taxing. Taxing. And I absolutely just had a revelation today, y'all. Um, because there are some things where I'm just like, you know what? I just don't even want to pull myself off of the couch just to come and sit at my desk. Oh my goodness. But my revelation today was that, okay, I'm supposed to get this information out. It wouldn't be such a press. It wouldn't be, there wouldn't be so much heaviness of getting this out if it wasn't supposed to come out. Me sitting on the couch and not sharing everything with you all and how I've been able to make significant change in my life, lessons I still continue to learn. And just to share just how God is so good. Of course the devil doesn't want that to get out. So, all these opposition and whatever. I could do a whole episode about that. But I'm really proud of myself for getting my butt in this chair, sitting back at this desk, um, you know, trekking on through to do what I need to do to bring you all this in my heart. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the last 6 pieces of advice that Dave Ramsey has given over the years. So thank you all for engaging with this series. We went up to number 13 in the previous episode. And so we're going to jump through and address 14 through 20. Now, for those of you, if you're just jumping into this episode and you haven't been a part of the series, back in the day, early 2000s, I was just, fed up with just not managing my money correctly, my options being fewer than what I would desire. I was fed up not living how I knew I should be living, if that makes sense. I knew that there was more for me. I should be living more. I should be living bigger with the things that had been afforded to me, the job that I had. And it was just time to just be a big girl, right? And back then, I mentioned that there really weren't all the financial influencers. Of course, there wasn't a Facebook, there wasn't an Instagram, there wasn't TikTok, there wasn't none of that stuff. So what you had were books. And the folks that you saw on the bookshelves, as I went and checked out books in the library, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, right, when it was really focused on books, it was Dave Ramsey. He was the loudest voice. I also really fell in love with Susie Orman because from a woman's point of view, she really talks and continues to talk about making sure that women are financially sound. Dave Ramsey, from a biblical perspective, uh, talks about his way of being financially sound. And while Dave Ramsey was the loudest voice that I listened to, it was some of his tips or what have you, I just knew that they were not realistic for me, even back then, but they sure sounded good. And so I came across this site, budgetsmadeeasy.com, and the owner of this site decided to go through 20 tips that Dave Ramsey had given over the years. And I read them, and what I discovered was, either A, I still resonate and absolutely agree with this piece of advice this many years later. B, I still don't agree with that piece of advice, or it really doesn't resonate with me, or it may not resonate with my particular audience or those who relate to me or have my background. Or C, I resonated with it years ago, 10, 15, what have you, 20 years ago. But now, with my perspective as an older woman, I'm a right outside the young adult, right? But as an older woman, married, children, homeowner, all the things that I don't resonate maybe with that piece of advice, or vice versa. Maybe I didn't resonate with it as a 20 something year old when I was trying to get my act together with my money. But now, being in my 40s, I'm like, you know what? Actually, there's some validity to that. So I thought I would share my insights with you. So here we go. So we're going to pick up number 14, only take out a 15-year mortgage. Now, here's what Dave Ramsey basically recommends, y'all. Dave Ramsey recommends a 15-year mortgage that is not more than 25% than your take home pay, with 20% down. Here's the basis of this, because I get it. Now, Dave Ramsey does not like debt. Dave Ramsey wants to help you eradicate debt or avoid debt as much as absolutely possible. And so the context, the energy behind this one, I completely get. Is this realistic? Especially for myself or other 20 somethings turn 30 somethings, 40 somethings, what have you, especially depending upon where you live. You may be someone that lives in New York, Chicago, the Bay Area, San Francisco. That this 15-year mortgage, it's not going to fly, y'all. If you possibly lived in different parts of the country, even Atlanta is starting to get up there a little bit, depending upon the locations that you are looking at, or I should say Georgia. There are definitely more places to occupy Georgia than Atlanta. This could work, but I will share with you that very recently, me and my mother were actually speaking today, and there was a news story that came out. And forgive me, I don't have the actual name of the publication that she mentioned, but it stated that the average price of a home in the Bay Area starts at $1 million. The average price, which is saying that you have homes that exceed 1 million, and then you have homes on average right now that I'm seeing 6 to 7. Long gone are the homes that are in the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, even the 5s. I've not seen any of those price points lately consistently in a very long time. And so to tell someone in this day and age, where the average price of where you may be living, where you may choose to live or stay, because I'm a born and raised Bay Area girl, um, to get a 15-year mortgage that isn't more than 25% of your take home pay with 20% down, you would most likely delay being able to buy a home for a considerable amount of time. Now, 20% down, you all, is key. It is the opportune number. If you are able to put 20% down of the cost of your home, you do not have to qualify for MIP or PMI. PMI is private mortgage insurance. MIP is mortgage insurance protection. They are pretty much one and the same. Unfortunately, the government decided that PMI would no longer be tax deductible. So sharing with you, when I was able to make some significant changes with my finances and pay debt off and raise my credit score and afford and purchase my first home, as a single woman, I had PMI. There was no way I was going to be able to have the time to gather 20% down. Although during the time that I bought this home, I absolutely was saving up. That was my goal, was to save 20%. And I just happened to find this home and it checked all the boxes. But I also had the opportunity to come into my home with an FHA loan. And an FHA loan will give you an opportunity to come into a home with as little as 3 to 5% down. And without programs like that, without an opportunity for me to enter into the homeowners market, who knows how long it would have taken me. So when Dave Ramsey says he recommends a 15-year mortgage, now a 15-year mortgage, should you be able to keep up with the payments? Now, this is a 15-year fixed mortgage. Let me be clear. Not an ARM, not a mortgage that fluctuates, a 15-year fixed mortgage. You are talking about, when I first purchased my home, my mortgage payment was about $1,500, maybe $1,535. I've since refinanced and all of those things. But you might be talking about $3,000. And for myself, single woman, single homeowner, when I first purchased my home, that was not that was no way that was going to be affordable for me. For $3,000 of my take home pay being solely dedicated just for the roof over my head, not the food, not the lights, not the garbage bill, not the electric, like none of that was included. And so that just is not feasible for most people. Now, here is what I recommend. This is just purely Janine letting you know, some things that I do. To absolutely take it or leave it. I always go with a 30-year fixed mortgage, even if I refinance. What does a 30-year fix do? Number one, it locks in your interest rate so that your interest rate does not fluctuate. Many, many people got in trouble when they chose these ARM mortgage rates, which would fluctuate. They looked really good. You got a low payment. And then depending upon the fluctuation of the prime rate, the market, those wonderful, very low interest rates might jump even up to, 9 and 10%, which changes your mortgage payment. And a lot of folks, around the time that I bought my home, because my home was a foreclosure, that is how a lot of the market opened up for people like myself, because you had folks who bought homes, unfortunately, possibly in some predatory loans, but also in these ARM loans that got them in the door of purchasing a home, but did not prepare them for the fluctuations of their interest rate in those types of loans and mortgages. And then, folks couldn't pay their mortgage, and so they lost their homes, and it came back on the market to people like myself who got these homes for a steal. And I think about that, and I try to be really, really careful about the roof over my head, as much as I possibly can, and make the right decisions about the home. So that's my take on that, right? Dave, if you are in South Dakota, North Carolina, Minnesota, right? If you are maybe in some of those territories, this might be okay. When I was in college in Chicago, I remember homes were going for like $60,000 and $70,000. And I was just floored, because even then, when I was in college in '04 and '05, excuse me, that's cute. In '94 and 1995, when I was in college, even homes here were like in the twos. And I was just like, wow, like this is a beautiful home and it's only 60,000. That was then. That was almost 30 years ago. So when you stick with a 30-year fixed mortgage, you have options. If I have some more money and I want to put extra money to my principal, I can do that. If things get lean, if I get laid off, once again, I got to think about these things because I've lived these things. If I ever get laid off, I'm in the lowest possible mortgage payment that I could be in. And I can ride on that. But when things are good and more additional money is coming in, I have the option to pay down my principal. So that's where I'm going to leave Dave's number 14 of only taking a 15-year mortgage. It really depends on where you live, your income, your budget, your home price. And does that make sense for your wallet and your lifestyle? If you can pay your mortgage off quicker, as in the Hopkins family has done, by all means, man, go for it. As Dave says, you can go into retirement without a mortgage. You can cash flow college. You can up your children's funds and savings, and there's so much you can do. But once again, depending upon where you live, sometimes your options are a little bit fewer than others that may live in different territories. All right, let's see. Now, even with that piece of advice, y'all, when we're talking about a mortgage, your mortgage is an asset. I know that I've said debt is debt is debt, and I still stand on that. But there is a qualifier when it comes to your home. Real estate can increase in value or decrease in value, as many things. But real estate is pretty steady. Real estate has pretty anticipatory highs and lows. And as Dave Ramsey says, and I do agree with this, if something comes up, you have the option to sell your home and possibly make money based on the equity and the value in your home, right? What you paid for it versus what it's worth. And so, following Dave's tips, if you could, right, you'd already have equity in the house when you buy it, like carte blanche up front, you'd be building equity. The way that I got into my home with an FHA loan, once again, I told you PMI was tax deductible at the time. So that helped me as a homeowner be able to write off the additional monies that I was paying in PMI. But what I did is I tracked and I watched the value of my home very closely. And I believe it took me maybe about 2 years, maybe even possibly 3. And so when my home caught up to the point where I had at least 20% equity in my home for the value of my home at the time, then I proactively called my mortgage lender and told them I wanted to have the PMI removed. Now, they're not going to watch that for you. Your lender is not going to give you a call up one day and say, "Hey, Janine, we noticed that you no longer need PMI. We're going to go ahead and remove this extra money off of your mortgage." No, they're not going to do that. This is fully your responsibility to track your asset, to track your equity. You're going to have to track that. You are going to have to put in the effort for that. And that's what I did. And so what it did is it reduced my mortgage because I think I was paying maybe $213, $15 or something extra on my mortgage payment. And so it took that $250 out. And I was wonderfully able to envelop that back into my budget. So once again, Dave Ramsey, I think the sentiment is well thought out based on region. If you can, amazing. But if you can't, if it just does not make sense and it's not feasible, then you get into your home however you can, whether it be an FHA loan, a VA loan, whatever type of opportunity that is smart, that gets you into a home that doesn't feel like you're being preyed upon, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. There's so many great opportunities on the other side of owning a home, should that be your decision and your wish to do so. Tax breaks and just a lot of things. And then there's just this comfort, y'all, of just knowing that, the only person that can put me up out of here is me. Right? Right. Nobody's gonna be like, "Yeah, we're ready to sell this home," or your lease is only for a year. Like there's nobody to do that to you, anymore. And so, long-winded answer, went into a lot of detail, but Dave, yeah, got to qualify that one. Sounds good, but for some, it's not going to be good. All right, number 15, change. change. Dave Ramsey is about behavioral change. A lot of his tips, focus on changing your behavior. And I'm 10 toes down on that. Have not changed my stance on that. So Dave will say, if you want to change your finances, then you need to change. You need to change yourself, how you approach your thoughts about money. Like there are some changes that need to happen significantly for you and in you. And I absolutely believe that. My coaching is focused on change. It's focused on being cognizant of how you're spending. And so, yeah, me and him are lockstep in that. Now, y'all know change is not easy because even in the tough stuff, there's a comfortability in it, right? That might be a dysfunction, but there's a comfortability if you've been sitting in your tough stuff for a long time because there's this easiness, this dis this dis-easiness, right, in it, um, that we lean on, and we bring ourselves right on back into the same situation. Change isn't easy, but it's necessary to get what you desire if it's really worth it. It looks like one of Dave's tips is change isn't easy, but it's necessary if you wanna like no one else. It's required. And if you got big dreams, big goals, if you just want to live a whole different life than what you're living now, change is required. You're going to have to work through it. On the other side of accomplishment and pride in a good way, and just options. I'm really big about options, y'all. It's change and hard work. Okay. So, yeah, change, there's no other way. There's no other way you know, to go about it, y'all. Number 16, tell your money where to go or it will leave you. Yes, that's been said a lot of different ways. Shout out to um the uncommon millionaire, Mr. Al Riddick. He is one of my coaches and consistently says this same message. You got to give your money an assignment. You got to tell your money what to do. Or it will find things to do. And most of those things are going to be reckless. But you have to have a plan for your money. And whether that's been me writing my budget down multiple times a month in a notebook or use a digital tracker or something that says, this is what I have and this is what needs to go out. Do I have a surplus or do I have a deficit? You got to tell your money what to do, down to the penny, right? You must be in control of your money or your money will be in control of you. I remember I was going through a coaching session with Al, and I was telling him like, yeah, I signed up for this service and what it does is it takes the extra change out of my account and puts it over here and such and such. And he was like, I don't want you to do that. And I was like, "Why?" Because I thought I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm automated spending, I'm being responsible." Like, I thought I did a really, really great thing. And he was very clear, right? He said, "Well, you're not really telling your money what to do. This app is telling your money what to do. Thus, you really don't have control of your money because this app can look in there and say, oh, it looks like we can take $5 today. And then it goes in and tells the app, oh, it looks like we could take 15 or 25. You're not controlling your money. This app is. You are a passive bystander to your saving strategy. And I was like, wow. I was like, "Dang, we got all deep about this app here." I thought I was doing a good thing, but it made perfect sense, right? If you think about it, it made perfect sense that I needed to be in charge of where my money was going and not letting an app do that for me. For some of you, that may work very well. But for where I was at the time and what I really wanted to get cemented of really being in control of my money, that was one of the best pieces of advice he could have gave me. So once again, telling your money where it will go down to the penny means that you create a zero-based budget. All right. Meaning every penny, every dollar, whatever is deposited, whatever is given to you, you account for it. And every dollar has a position, it has a place, it has a task, right? Even if that task is sitting in your savings account. or I'm taking this amount out of the bank and it sits in my wallet. It's my play money. Or it has a task, and none of your money is just kind of up for, oh, oops, what do we, what happens here? What do we do here? That is what I've leaned on for my business. It's what I lean on in my personal finances, is to make sure that you tell your money what to do. All right, Dave, I'm with you there. All right, number 17, cut up your credit cards. Some of y'all, I triggered you out there. Cut up your credit cards. All right. What number one, right? Dave says, well, if you cut them up, you're going to stop using them. And it says it will help. He says it will help you move through the process of paying them off because you don't have that backup. I agree. I agree. Now, things have changed in 20 years. Y'all know there's Apple Pay. You all know that you could put your card on your iPhone or what have you in your wallet. You don't have to necessarily have the physical card. So if you are someone who can't just tuck your cards in a drawer and just say, let me just leave them there, because I'm going to circle back up to the beginning where it looks like it was, oh, what number was that? Where Dave told you that you don't need a credit score. Number 5, right? Dave said you don't need a credit score, and I wholeheartedly disagreed. There are things that you may want to consider having for yourself, your family, and a credit score is going to come into play, right? But with that, you are, you know, if you cut up your credit cards, now cutting them up and closing them different. If you close them, you are doing self-sabotage for your credit score. But if you cut them up and you don't use them, they are still open. They're still open, and you have to be disciplined to not utilize any of the technological things that are available to us to still have access to that credit card. All right. Now, what I actually have had clients do in the past, some years ago, is if they felt like that they really couldn't put their credit cards down, I made them freeze them and put them in the back of a freezer. But if I really knew like this person is going to struggle, like they're going to take this out and defrost this, I advise them to put their credit cards in a bowl of water, freeze it, and then give it to their friend. Don't even have it in your own freezer. Give it to a friend of yours who's going to help you stay accountable. That is a way of making sure that the focus is the focus and the main thing is the main thing. It will focus you on what you do have. Because I'm going to tell you, I've been caught up in that game where you feel like at one point your credit cards are your extra fallback, but really it's like, no, you're borrowing money. You're borrowing money in the form of swiping. And so when you get to the point where you know, I don't have that easy access to do that, the better off you will be. Take it from somebody who knows, y'all. All right, y'all. Number 18, the best place to go when you are in debt is to work. All right. So here's what Budget Made Easy says. I'm going to read this one. While you are working his plan the way it was meant to be, you want to go get out of debt and save as fast as possible. In order to speed up the process, you need to get to work. This includes working extra jobs, overtime, and hustling. You may need to pick up odd jobs, deliver pizza, drive for Uber, or whatever you need to so you can get out of debt quickly. I realize that this isn't always possible, but do what you can to speed up the process and move on to living a life you love. It takes short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. 100%, Dave. I'll give you that one. Okay. It is not going to be forever. It is a short term solution for a longer term problem. And that short term is going to feel tough, y'all. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be real and 100% with you. That short term is going to feel daunting, but you got to stay in your word. And you got to pray. Remember, God is the ultimate partner when it comes to concerning and managing your finances. I can give you all the tools, right? But we consult God because he knows the bigger picture. He knows what he has for you. right? He knows how he wants to prosper you and the lessons that we all need to learn. And so, I take that lead, but real talk, the hustles, the Ubers, the whatever it is that you can do to be diligent and disciplined. Let me be clear. To be diligent and disciplined that all the monies from your side hustle, your second job, whatever the case may be, all that money goes to the debt or whatever you are tackling, that you don't get complacent and, do date nights and fun and what have you. You don't fall into that trap. One time is okay because, you're working every day, you're doing the side hustle, you don't have as much free time. You do deserve to enjoy yourself, but you don't want to use that money as if it's extra income. That money has a purpose, right? It's already reserved. All right. Number 19, sell so much stuff that the kids think they are next. I didn't really trip off of this one back in the day because I didn't have any kids, right? And Dave talks about, while you're working, and you're saving, you're paying off debt, you need to look around your surroundings and see what you can sell off, right? What do you need to sell that you can bring some extra money in? I promise you there are some gems in that closet. I promise you there's some gems in that cabinet in the kitchen. There are some gems sitting right around you that you really never even tripped off of, but absolutely could be treasure for someone else. So while you're looking to do that, you also want to look and think about what's already around me. What's something I really don't appreciate or I'm not really using, but could brighten up someone else's day. All right. And so there are a ton of apps actually. So nowadays, you can go on Facebook Marketplace, you can go on OfferUp. There's no affiliations to any of these companies I'm mentioning. These are literally just avenues and apps I personally have used to sell things, whether it be my home, different designer things I may have left over. I've used plenty of them to be able to recoup some monies, and it's been absolutely well worth it. But yeah, sell your stuff. I just got rid of my storage space, right? I needed more space than my house for other junk and other stuff. And when I cleaned out that space, it was baffling for the stuff that was in there. And then when I finally started going through the things, most of it went in the trash. It was outdated. We didn't use it anymore. It didn't fit. Think about what you might have that you can add to the situation of really partnering and paying down debt together. It absolutely makes a difference, y'all. It does. And you can make a ton of money decluttering. Craigslist, I mean, all of those things have an opportunity to bring in a little bit of cash. All right. Last but not least, number 20, you all give generously. I don't even have to read down into Dave's commentary to know that I agree with that. One of the things that I teach in my course is to always have at least $5 in ones on you if you are trying to really build the muscle of giving. I told you early on that, for some of my clients and the conversations I have, I'm gonna tell them they're gonna be giving, especially if they've not been tithing or what have you. You're gonna give money away, and they're just like, "Wait a minute, I'm hiring you because I'm having problems. Like, I'm hiring you because I want you to help me." And I'm like, "I am helping you because God says to go ahead and take care of our own." And so if you someone who asks you like, "Hey, can you spare some change?" You have it. Remember, because it's not our job to judge what people do with it, but it is our job to give and to sow with folks. And so um yeah, that was, one of my examples of making sure that I'm able to give something, something to someone. It's hard out here, y'all. It is difficult out here. God is still good though. He's awesome, awesome and amazing. And he's the great multiplier as well. All right, you all. So that is all 20 of Dave Ramsey's best tips over the years. If you liked this series or even this particular episode, please smash that like button and subscribe. You can subscribe to Reset Budgeting and Financial Coaching. We're found pretty much all over um, um, TikTok and Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram. And you can also go to www.resetyourmoney.com. You'll see we're in the middle of a reset banner page on my screen, but please make sure that you click the button so that you can actually add yourself to the newsletter when we come back out with a splash of all the changes that have been happening. I also will ask of you all as you listen to pray for me. Being a business owner is not for the faint at heart, no matter what kind of business you're running. And to also have a full-time job, be a full-time mom, be a full-time wife, be, full-time accessible to my church. There's a lot of me that goes out, and those pieces don't always come back at the same time. And so there's a passion. I've had this passion to do this with you and for you for very many years, over 10 years, and I'm trying to see it through. But sometimes, even the strongest folks get weary. So, if you are part of the Reset family, you're adjacent to the Reset family, you have a relationship with me, whether it be through this microphone or in person, I ask that you say some specific prayers for me and for this business. All right, y'all. That's it for this week. I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Once again, pray for your girl. Um, Getting this content and these amazing trackers out to you all. It's a press and it's a push, but I know God will bless in the end. And so God bless you all. God bless your week. And we'll talk soon.